We are back.
Welcome back to the Black Sheep Narrative.
Black Sheep Narrative. Today we've got a special guest for you guys. Got Mr. Roc Pilon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, dude. We're honored to have you on.
Yes.
So, owner of GymReapers.
Yep.
Slew of other
little entities all over the place.
There you go.
Stays busy.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Just moved into your new headquarters.
Yep. Got that renovated. We moved in probably like 6 months ago, but it took like 6 months to renovate too. So, little project.
Yeah. Little.
How big is that beast now?
The building we're in right now is 60,000. And then we bought the back lot. That'll be it's double that size. So,
God damn.
Let's fucking go.
Just getting prepped.
Dude, that's why I've been so excited for this episode because I remember when I originally contacted you, it was like, hey, I want you to talk to me about UXO. Like, would you mind? And I didn't, I was surprised you even like, yeah, like, hey, let's go meet. Let's talk about your business. Let's see how I can help.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize how big GymReapers was at that point. Like when you came and talked to me, I thought you were a smaller company. And then it's like, oh my God, he's on Forbes 30 for 30 or 30 under 30. It's like, what the fuck? I didn't realize how fast you have grown this business. And it's inspiring, dude.
Thank you, man.
I know that there's a lot of hate in the industry. There's a lot of people that will, probably talk shit. Right.
Yeah.
And for me, like seeing it firsthand, it's inspiring. It motivates me. It wants me to push harder.
Thank you, bro. Yeah. No. And I think it's easy to like look at where somebody's at like 10 years down the line, but it started from the back of a trailer park. Right. So it's like, it doesn't really matter where you start. I think it's like just that vision and the belief in that where you want to go. Right. And when I look in here, I'm like, this is fucking motivating to me, dude. Like, cause it reminds me, I'm like, dude, this is what it is. And this is the best part. Like, I know it's like, fuck, how do we make this shit work? And it's like all that stuff.
Oh,
right?
you had those fears too?
Oh, bro, I spent 3 years and made no money. Like I spent 3 years and made no money. That's why I was working a job for so long. Just kept trying to figure it out. But then looking back, it's like the best times are when you're just a couple guys in the room and you're like, how the fuck, like this is the can I cuss on this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, the inventory's delayed. The fucking shipment's not going out. This person's pissed. The manufacturer's not working right. But like, and eventually you almost like, most of your problems don't go away. They just evolve. But like, those were the best times. Like when it's like a group of being in this size building, you'll have like 5-10 people in here one day, but then you're going to max it out and then you're going to have more people. And it's like, it becomes a different thing. So yeah.
I'm happy to hear you say that.
Because we're dealing with all those issues as we talk right now.
There's some mornings I come here and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Yeah.
What?
It's
craziness.
Part of it. That's literally part of it. And everyone goes through it. And it's like the people that just fucking grind their head against the ground are the ones that make it through. And that's kind of like that's the point. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take me back to young Roc when you decided that you were going to start GymReapers. Yeah. Out of a trailer.
Yeah.
Take me back to that. What was your mindset? How did it even come to be? Like, how did you even start the process of?
Yeah. I mean, I was always like motivated outside of like, like I wasn't interested in really going to school. I wasn't interested in like, I wanted to be successful. Like I always was like, I'm going to be rich. I remember my mom was driving me to the gym when I was like 15 and she was like, what do you want to be? You got to figure out what you want to do.
No clue.
And no, I remember she was like, you should be I went to school for like firefighter EMT initially. Like this is like when I was like 17. But I remember she wanted me to do that. I was a CNA. She was a nurse. So she made me, I was CNA for a little bit before I went and worked for bodybuilding.com. But I remember telling her, I was like, I want to be rich. Like I want to figure it out. And she's like, oh, that's silly. Like that, honey, that's not reasonable. Cause we grew up like relatively like middle class, until my dad lost his job. And, I was just motivated. I was like, I kind of got put down a path of like reading, like Think and Grow Rich and like Rich Dad Poor Dad and like trying to figure out like that mentality. And I just thought different than most people that are just going down the kind of the normal, I guess, process you go down. I went to school, like I graduated from high school and then went to BSU for a little bit, but like I didn't have money. So it's like I had the FAFSA full grant because, we weren't making money. And then I was working at bodybuilding.com and I made like 30 grand or something, 33 grand, which is too much for the FAFSA money. Oh. But I was living off of like 30 grand's like, you can't live off 30 grand. So I couldn't get the school funding. So I was like, hey, get student loans or, you can't go to school. And so I was like, I was already kind of,
put yourself in debt.
I wasn't about it. Like, I think I had like $6,000 maybe. And I was like, this is not a good financial decision. And I think, even today, like when I talk to a lot of kids come talk to me or people like it doesn't 20 to 30, whoever's going to college, and they come and ask me like, what should I do? And in my opinion, it's like, figure out what you want to do. Take some time. It's okay if you take 2-3 years off and like go back. Which is what I did. Like I left, I worked at bodybuilding.com. I worked customer service. All my buddies at the time were like working there. That was when it was booming. This is like 2013.
It's heyday.
Oh dude, they were killing. And it was so fun, honestly. Like, I was obsessed with powerlifting, working out with Jesse and Jay.
Yeah.
And, that was like, I would wake up, work out, go meal prep, grab my stuff, go to the office, and I worked 3:30 to midnight. That was my shift.
Damn.
But when I was there, I would like research like business and like be on forums trying to figure out, how does that side work? Like that side of the world work, because I didn't have any education in it. And I was reading a lot. I think, that mentality was kind of formed through that period. It's just like, okay, I'm not happy with where I'm at. I'm not going to go down the traditional path, but I got to figure something out. And I kind of kept all the options open. You asked me about like how I got into the real estate side. Is like, I was like, okay, I had the idea for GymReapers, and it was just shirts. I was screen printing like these old school, like Frank Zane shirts. It had like a skull on it.
Yeah. Is it the same skull or is it evolved?
It was just like my tattoo artist. I was like, hey, put a skull on this and put Frank Zane's physique, the one where he's like doing the abs and thigh pose. Mm-hmm. And I put Conquer under it because that was like the famous like Arnold is Conquer.
Arnold. Yeah.
And that's like 2014 is when I printed those shirts. I ordered like, I don't know, like 100. And I would sell them at bodybuilding.com in the cubicles. Like I'd be flinging them. Yeah. Back there. And that was like the start of GymReapers. I was like, I'm going to build a t-shirt company, like a clothing line. And, I don't know if I've ever told this story, the whole story. This is good shit.
Great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Shit, we're the first.
Let's go, baby.
I mean, maybe privately, but I don't think I've ever said it publicly. And so I started doing that, and it wasn't, bro, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't understand margins, didn't understand P&Ls, didn't understand.
Right. That's how it always is.
Anything.
You learn by fire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like before that, if I take it way back, I had a company called The Visionary Minds. It's corny. And I printed like
Sounds corny.
400 is bad, dude. I have all the shirts. I made 400 shirts, never sold a single one because this is like, I'm 16, 17 here. But I was like inspired by like Diamond Supply, LRG, like all those
I remember LRG.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. And like, in high school, I would fling this guy's clothes. It's called Fly As Me. I would flip it at school. Like I'd get all his shit and I'd sell it at school. And so I love that streetwear style. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to build my own like clothing line. I set up a Shopify store, just put up the 3 designs. I remember I contacted Frank McGrath, he's with Animal, huge forearms.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being like, hey bro, you should wear my clothes. And he's like, hey dude, you sell one shirt with 3 colors. Like what is there to sell? And then he wanted to get paid like $3,000 or something, which was like insane to me at the time. I'm like, bro, I don't have $3,000. This is before the skull logo, before any logo actually. Like I was just selling the print, right? And that went on for probably like from 2014 to 2016. Like I was printing maybe 100 shirts or so, sitting on them. Like they would carry them from wherever I was living to the next. Like I lived in the trailer from 2014 to July of 2015. I guess 2012 to July of 2015. But when I started GymReapers, and then I moved in with some roommates. And I still had the fucking box with me, the shirts, selling them to them, selling them to whoever would buy them. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about sales and marketing, the old bodybuilding.com store. You remember that one on Milwaukee?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Griff and Julian.
Griff and Julian. Yeah.
Those guys were the only, I might cry just fucking saying this. They were the only guys. Sorry, bro. Fuck, dude.
Yeah. Griff and Julian.
They were the only guys that would like support me. And,
they're great guys.
It's crazy, dude. Looking at like where it is now.
They're like the only ones that believed in you.
Bro,
then.
Like I remember, fuck, dude.
That's good.
I remember leaving. Damn.
It's real. It's fucking real.
It's crazy. I remember leaving the trailer, my dad being like, "Where are you going?" with the boxer shirts, and my dad, I was like, "Oh, Griffin, the bodybuilding.com store. I live right behind it. The trailer park's like right behind it." And they want the shirts, and I was like, and my dad's like, "Huh, that could really be something someday," which is fucking insane. I remember he said that verbatim.
Your dad?
Yeah, because he's like, "What the fuck is this kid doing?" Honestly, like he's like, "Dude, you need to figure it out." I already had it. I knew what I wanted to do. What you see today is like what I already had in my mind the whole time, but I just didn't understand the mechanics of
to get it there.
Yeah, I didn't like. If you don't understand the business principles and the frameworks of how business works and the logic of business, right? And I didn't have a brand or anything. I was not educated in the whole process until I ended up. I found a mentor, which was AJ. And when I started working for him. I left bodybuilding, started working for him, and I was always like super motivated. He was trying to build a supplement company at the time, it was anxiety supplements, and I started helping him with the marketing. And I was like, "Hey, I'll do this for free. Just let me fucking get like." I just wanted to like be around people that were doing stuff,
right? And
so I started running his social media, helping him with his website, doing all this stuff, and over time, he's like, "Hey." I think somebody left the place, and I was like, okay, cool. He offered me a job. Or I think I told him I'd work for him for free, and he's like, no, I'll pay you. And he owned some Anytime Fitness gyms too. Now he just does only storage, but he owned a couple of gym franchises. And so I came in and started managing the gyms, but I got around him, Sam, and Ron, those are the guys that run the whole, it's now a private equity fund. They own like $400 million of self-storage.
Crazy.
A huge business. And
it's one of the most profitable businesses.
Yeah. They crush it. They got a lot of projects going, and, it was basically those three guys who, they had built a health insurance company and sold it, at the peak, like best time ever. And then they bought storage at the best time ever. So it was basically those three guys and then me, and I would like sit in the rooms with them and
absorb.
Yeah. Just listen. I didn't have much to offer right at that point in time. Like I'm 20, I don't know anything and no education. And he's just betting on my ambition to be like, I'll help you, whatever you got me to, I'll do whatever you need me to do.
Yeah.
And those guys, over time I would go over to AJ's house and, he'd show me like a P&L. He'd be like, hey, I remember one of the first times we met, he's like, you need to run a P&L. And I'm like, what's a P&L? He's like, it's a profit and loss statement. It shows you what you made and what you spent. And so this is like before I started working for him. He sent me the P&L Excel sheet, but I didn't fill it out. I spent like maybe a month or two just ignoring it because I was like, I don't want to fucking do that. It's not making money. Right. And then he didn't contact me again. So I was like, okay, well, to get around this guy, he's got to see me doing stuff. So I built the P&L and said, hey, what do you think about this? And then we started to meet, and he started to teach me like what a P&L is, how to run margins. And eventually it kind of became clear. It's like, hey, there's no margin in like t-shirts, screen printing them the way I'm making them. Like I can't acquire our customers profitably. I'm making them for too much money. I'm shipping it for too much. And so it was like, oh, fuck, like my business doesn't work. Yeah. That made me reconvene and look at the whole thing, be like, okay, because you can want your idea to work as bad as you want, Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you want.
Right.
So it's like, how do I think the brand name's badass. I love it. And I think at that point I had the skull logo because we printed this figure and I pulled the head off, which is the head now. It was like a full body, and that's where the skull came from. And I pivoted into equipment because my roommate was selling coffee, and he was starting to make money. He was figuring out the Amazon game, the e-com game, and he was making like 2 or 3 sales a day. And I was like, fuck, like he's making more sales than me. I got to figure it out. And I was powerlifting a lot and wearing all these other brands. And when I looked at it, it's crazy because I looked at all these brands and been like, these guys are all massive. Like I can't compete. Whether it's like SBD, Mark Bell, Rogue, like you're competing against, guys who've been doing it for decades, right? And I was just like, okay, well, I had $5,000 saved up, ordered my knee sleeves, did the research, taught myself how to do it, ordered 500 knee sleeves and designed them and did all that stuff. It's the same, different manufacturers. I went through a few, but like same design. Yeah. And, ordered those and started to sell them, and it started to work. And then
selling them profitably.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was the difference, right? Like learning how to like facilitate a business. And the other thing is like the principles I was learning there, which was like investing, right? Like, cause these guys are they're businessmen, but they're also just like investors, which two different types of people, like in their approach to like life and business and how they view money. And so instead of, I'm sure it would be easy to get a Lambo, do all this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which most people, they can do fine. But I was just like, next product, next
Always
sales channel, next product. Yeah. And,
Smart.
And it took forever, right? Like that was 2016.
Took forever.
Well, 2016 to 2020 or 2016 to July of 2019. So 3 years-ish. That was just me, in my house. And then my new roommate at the time, I went from Tanner was my roommate. He moved to California. Harrison, I don't know if you know Harrison Higgins. He powerlifted too. I was living with Harrison, and he's like, hey, my dad, or he was sick of all the boxes. Like I had boxes like what you got.
Yeah.
All like, bro, in my living room, in my room, in the hallway. And I'm living in like 900 square feet in the kitchen.
Yeah. So you're surrounded by
dude,
product.
You're stepping over
GymReapers boxes everywhere.
You're stepping over it all. He's like, hey, dude, my dad has like a warehouse. You could, I could talk to him if you need to fucking get your shit in here. So we ended up moving in there in like.
So Harrison, he just wanted the shit out of the house.
Dude, it was crazy, bro. It was like, looking back, it's like how most people would have been like, I need a third-party fulfillment center, right? Yeah. I'm over here like, put it in my house, put it in my room, put it like trying to figure out a spot, which, in hindsight, and we could talk to it, like just like how valuable owning your fulfillment is.
Yeah.
But basically 2019, it's just me. I left working for AJ, in 2020 of March 2020 happens, which is COVID, right? It's still just me.
Yeah.
Still me in like 800 square feet, and the world kind of shuts down. And, now this is a compound effect, right? Like opportunity meets the prepared mind, like taking the right actions for 5 years, right? It's not going to pop off like that. But I just went full. I remember applying for jobs in March of 2020.
You did?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You got to realize like the whole world shuts down.
Yeah.
And I think,
so you didn't know what to expect.
Bro, and I had a couple rental properties. I'm like, okay, my tenant's going to stop paying. Like people forget like the fear. But the whole world was fucking terrified, even if people say they weren't. Yeah. And then, we kind of tapered up. I hired a couple guys. I hired a guy I found on LinkedIn. His name is Bakir. And then I hired one of my best friends, Jack, who was running ops for a wholesale company, another guy named Thane to ship. And like those three guys, they kind of came in over a course of a couple weeks. I already knew what we needed to do in terms of scaling. Like I knew we needed like a brain of the organization, like an ERP. Yeah. Like I already knew all the stuff we had to do. I was just like, I can't do it myself. And so we just started to fucking hammer shit. And basically from that time to even we're still going, it's just been boom, 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 boom. And that's kind of the growth people see.
So now. I guess what spawned it? Like what spawned this explosive growth? Because you look at a normal company, it's like, hey, if you have 30% year-over-year growth, that's success.
Yeah.
What's your growth been?
I think we had like a 3,000% 3-year growth rate. I think there's like people talk about product market fit. You hear that like in terms of like tech and stuff, and it's like when you find perfect product market fit, it's like lightning in a bottle. And I think what we hit is what kind of I saw in power and like gear is like there's thresholds to how powerlifters and even just athletes view training gear, and like there's respect in brand, and but there's also like complacency. You know, like if you asked a powerlifter, hey, what, like a legit, like hardcore powerlifter, hey, what knee sleeves do you use? I already know the brands they're going to say.
SBD.
They're not saying GymReapers, right. and I understand.
Right.
And I'm not even, I don't even blame it. It's like, okay, I will get there. But yeah, they're going to say SBD. If you talk to a CrossFitter, they're going to say Reband.
Reband.
If you talk to, so there's also complacency, in terms of like how you approach, how they approach their bit. Like maybe they just have their own lane. Right. And I think I found, what made us different is like, I took a different angle to the whole category. Like I don't want to be a powerlifting brand. I don't want to be a CrossFit brand. I want to be a training brand, and I want to encompass the art of training. And I think the approach that most of these brands take is just what has worked for them. And what I'm trying to do is just, I'm kind of going at all angles and figuring out what works quickly. And I think, I mean, there's so many facets that fueled the growth, like the products, the people that we brought on. I think the team we have is like extraordinary. The way that I built it, like the way, like most people wouldn't have the capital to invest to make that many products, but it's like, dude, if you don't live off the products, and I worked for somebody, it was a 7-figure business before I was working for a guy for like an average salary, while I was doing 7 figures in revenue. But that's because I was turning all that money over and over, to like build the flywheel. So I don't need to take investors. Like I can just literally turn my cash flow over. But that took 7 years of just like every day. So I think it's a multiple factors. I think, the cash conversion cycle, people, product, the whole category probably needed a new brand.
It's fucking crazy.
It is fucking crazy, dude. Crazy.
You talk about scaling and you talk about 3,000%.
Yeah.
Like, how were you ready for that? Because people talk about, if you're not ready for it, like you can fuck yourself over, and you're not ready. And then you can invest, like you could buy a huge ass warehouse and not be ready for that. And then just be spending fuck ton of money on that fucking space and not be making that money. How were you prepared to scale the business?
That's a good question. And I think, anybody that says, oh, I'm like, maybe if you've been an entrepreneur and this is what you do, and you like raise VC capital and you're like, cool, let's go fucking build a unicorn. Right. And like, that's why people raise a shitload of money. Like you see these companies raise $200 million. Well, they're just trying to get to the end point in like 3 years. They're not trying to spend the 15 years getting to the end point. I don't think you could say I was prepared. I think having done every function in the business at a pretty like adequate level, like I don't think anybody at GymReapers would say, oh, Roc doesn't know what I'm doing here. Like you don't have, I understand whether we talk to customer service or paid traffic or, brand, product, ops, supply chain, logistics, warehousing, fulfillment. Like I can speak to the language to any aspect of it, and it's because I did it. And so when I start to see what'll happen is when you start to scale, you're basically pushing I view it as a machine. And as you push the machine, like you could have insane marketing, crushes it. Like you could have the biggest influencer pool, but if you don't have the CS team, the fulfillment infrastructure, and the systems to connect it all, you'll crush your back end. And that's why you see all these comments on Instagram lighting these companies up. Yeah. It's like you're growing too fast. But
you don't have the support system to support it.
Exactly. And it's kind of that process. And like what I said at the end of that story when I brought Jack and Thane and Bakir on, is I knew I needed an ERP. And an ERP. Enterprise Resource Planner, or planning software. It's like a version of like NetSuite or SAP or some of these smaller ones like Fulfill.io or Brightpearl. And I had been researching ERPs for a while, trying to figure out, okay, I got to connect all my sales channels. I got to connect everything together, because otherwise the inventory's in my head, which it was when I hired Jack. He's like, where's the shit at? And he'd be like asking me where the orders are at. And I'm thinking, and I'm like, okay, I ordered this much this time. it's all in my head. So he pulled all the orders out of my head, put it into Bright Pearl, so we could track. Because what you're trying to do is get out of doing it and get on top of running it. Yep. And understanding all the facets of the business, I can start to see, and I'm getting, it'll still catch me. Like I peeled, like we had a problem. We have problems relatively frequently, but if there's a problem in a department, I got to either have the leadership team with me, or maybe it's me because I haven't built the leadership team yet. Yep. Go into it, peel it apart, build it right, get everybody on the same page. Because at this point, I'm not running one person isn't running the function; it's teams. So you're trying to get teams coordinated, aligned, to the same point. Yeah. That's like a skill. Like that's what all these leadership books. Like you see Jocko and all these guys talking about leadership. It's like I notice it more now. At 10 people, it's easy to manage. You jump in a room like this, sit at the table, say, "Here's what we got to do." But when you have 50, and people aren't clear on like, what are we even doing? Why are we doing this? What's important? Who's our customer? Being able to get them in a room, say, "Hey, this is the North Star. Here's why we do this," which is like the core values, the mission statements. It all ties back, and I think you could take it from that top line view all the way down to a systems view. But to scale an organization, you kind of learn it on the fly, and then you start to understand. And I just think about it all the time in terms of like, how can we improve this function or make this better, or where are we lacking? Like why does this company do this better than us, and how do I get to that level or beyond it?
Is your brain shut off at night?
No.
You strike me as a guy where it's just constantly going, right?
Yeah.
Wheels are constantly spinning.
I think about GymReapers 24/7. Like I really do. And I think about the whole category, just because it's like, whether it's apparel, like any sort of fitness or training thing, it's like, man, I used to view GymReapers as like, man, if I could make X amount and just just do it myself, that would be awesome. Like be an entrepreneur, like not work for somebody. And I loved working for AJ, by the way. Like if I didn't have GymReapers, I'd probably still work there. I might be figuring out other things, but that was a great experience. But now I look at it and I'm like, how we're like if I never viewed it with a limit on top of it to begin with, where would it be? Because how you have these limiting beliefs. Like you have limiting beliefs around like, what can this do? Like I'm sure like you might think, oh well, and I don't know this, but like you might have limiting beliefs built around what you're capable of because you haven't proven
thinking
it to yourself.
Too small.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if it's like, if you knew everything you thought could become true, how much harder would you believe in, and how much bigger of a vision would you make? And I think like that's the transition you have to make, because like you probably can do everything you think. Maybe you're missing the mechanics, maybe a little bit of timing, but you can probably do everything within the realm of reality, right? But I wish I had thought bigger.
Now, did you always have that belief? Because you said for 3 years it wasn't profitable.
Yeah.
Like it was, and you said like during COVID you were looking for a job. Like,
yeah.
How did that transpire? Like, how did you believe in yourself?
Sure.
Like, where did that come from?
I think I always did. Like I do. I mean, just because I have to go get a job, or just because I don't make money for 3 years, doesn't mean that I won't make it. And it doesn't mean that the whole concept can't make it. Like everything, like I never viewed these things as like new paths. I viewed them as like, this is the next step. You know what I mean? I will go work another job, hold this thing together, quit that job, get back on the path, right? And now it turned up like this, right? Like I applied for like maybe 3 days, and I was like, oh shit, we're good. Maybe probably slight panic, right? Yeah. When I started, dude, I didn't have anything to lose. Like, I think that's probably, like from 2014 to 2016, it's like, okay, I'm not making money, but like, what the fuck else am I going to do? Like most people have something to lose, or they have something they care about more. Whereas like if 100% of the belief and outcome comes from this one thing, and this is all you're going to bet on, it's like, well, even if I don't make money for 3 years, it's like, fuck it. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no other option. And I think I don't know, dude, I had a gut feeling. I had I don't want to get woo woo, but like, I feel like your gut speaks to you. Like if you really like listen and can start to learn how, like synchronicities in life work. Like, I don't know if you've had like synchronicities where you're like, damn, I thought this and I went down this path, and then for some reason this thing in reality happened, and it was just like perfect. But I always felt that way when I worked on GymReapers. Like when I would work for, when I was doing something that wasn't aligned to that, it was almost like I felt like sick. And then even if I was working on GymReapers and making no money, it was like, it felt good. Because
it was your passion. It was your
Yeah, it was like passion, purpose.
Yeah.
Like this is something that is fulfilling, can make an impact, and I think it can be something.
Yeah. So I think like we've talked about that a lot. Now, my experience actually is the opposite of yours. When COVID hit, I left my job.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this. Like I'm out. And I went all in on UXO.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like it's because you have something you're passionate about, something you believe in so strongly.
Yeah.
And you're willing to burn the boats and walk away. Like, dude, I had a strong 6-figure salary.
Yeah.
And I walked away from it.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm done. And I sold, you know, I realized that there were sacrifices that had to be made.
Yeah.
So I sold my big diesel truck. I sold my wakeboard boat. I sold my motorcycle. I refinanced the house to get out of all those stresses.
Yep.
So I could focus and put 100% of my attention on this that I believe in so strongly. But you're right. Like the business didn't turn a profit for the first 4 years.
Yeah.
And even when I met with you, it was before this, it's all my product was in my garage.
Yeah.
And figuring out a way. Like
yeah. You have to. Like, cause if you're too content and you're too comfortable, it's like that dog. There's like that analogy of that dog sitting on a nail. And it's like, if the dog's always sitting on the nail and he doesn't know he's sitting on a nail, and it just hurts just enough, but it's not like bad.
Yeah.
It's like
it just tolerates it.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I think if you can do something like almost, I mean, traumatizing might not be the right word, but if you can put yourself in a situation where you're like, there is not another option. Because most people, if it's like, oh, if this doesn't work, I'll just do the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, dude, if there is no next thing and there is no backup plan, what are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think, because I think it's Andy Frisella that always talked about that, right? He talked about like, yeah, people that have backup plans, they're losers. Right? Well, I mean, they're expecting to lose. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, we can't fail.
Yeah.
We won't fail.
No, and you got to pivot, right? Like if it's not working, like don't get tied to the way you think it should be done. Cause like, what I was doing in the buildup was I was kind of doing it all. I was working for, this private equity, like real estate fund. I was trying to build my career there. Right. I'm like, okay, if all this shit fucking fails, it's like, at least I didn't regress. Right. Cause I'm what, 22. Like I don't want to be, all my peers are getting out of college. I didn't go to, I ended up going back way later.
You were 22. When was this?
This is from 20, I started working for AJ in 2015, 2016. And then I left in 2019.
Wait, how old are you now?
I'm 28.
Jesus Christ.
How old do you think I was? I started at 19.
What the fuck were we doing? We joined the military.
No, I was in college, and then I enlisted, which doesn't even make any sense.
Oh, you're dumb too.
But yes, I mean, I started working for the fund. I was AJ. You know, I would have conversations with him about school, so I ended up going back to school, and then I was doing the real estate side hustle. You know, I was like, what I did is I like bought a duplex, lived in one side, rented out the other, and that was a way where I could take that mortgage money and fucking dump it into GymReapers, right? Like for fuel more inventory.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and then GymReapers, and it's like none of them were really working. Like everyone's like, how did you know GymReapers would work? And it's like, bro, it fucking didn't work for years. So I just kind of kept doing it all, and now I've kind of whittled up. Like, okay, I don't work here. Like I'm doing GymReapers. I'm selling these things off, doing GymReapers, doubling down, because it's like it makes more sense now. Because I don't have a backup plan. I'm still doing the GymReapers, but it's just like I gotta have full attention and focus.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah. We've recognized that too. Yeah, we were just talking about it a little bit ago. Yeah, because I had an offer from someone else, like, hey, I want you to help me. We could start this business and we could do this. And it's like, no, I really can't. You know, I can't afford to have the distractions from UXO, because ultimately, if I'm taking my attention away from that, then
yeah,
you know,
you gotta, like, that's probably the number. People think they can be multiple places at once, even diverting your focus. Like, the biggest growth came from one focus, a single focus. Like, you look at the arc, it's like, well, I wasn't doing anything else. I had like side businesses. I had a bunch of side businesses that were making money, but not like, and they had no trajectory or runway to get to where, GymReapers could always go. And it's almost like I didn't believe in GymReapers enough.
Yeah.
That I was like dabbling everywhere else. And it's like only when I got rid of everything else and just went all in, started building the team out, that's when it really started to grow.
But you bring up a good point, because it makes me feel like, so I ditched my 6-figure job, jumped all into UXO to give it my full attention. But sometimes I feel like we don't, like, we limit ourselves. Like, we don't think big enough. Mm-hmm. And like, you called it out in this podcast, and it got me thinking, like, yeah, we need to be bigger, big picture thinkers.
Yeah.
Need to think more global.
Well, and it's like, if you had the perspective, I like to try and like if you had the perspective of, like, take somebody who's where you want to be, right? If you had that perspective of like a billionaire who's built a massive supplement company, how would you think different? And like, it's hard for you to put yourself in that mind frame because you've never been there. But what problems do you actually deal with? How do you actually view fixing the problems that you have? Because you're viewing it from the perspective that you only know. And the biggest thing, and why you learn things and why you educate yourself, is to get a perspective that's different. And so you can improve it. And I think that's the thing that like just continued to improve for me, is I was just absorbing information and just applying it as fast as I could. Yeah. Trying to get, I was pretty self-aware that I like didn't know anything at like 19. I was like, fuck, dude. I remember going to lunch with AJ because I'd be like, that's how I would get to talk to him. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire in real estate. And he's like, how are you going to do that? And I'm like, oh, damn. I was like, I'm going to own 30 duplexes. And he's like, how long does it take you to buy a duplex based on how much you make? And I'm like, oh, and he did the math for me. It's like 7 years. And I'm like, okay, you'll be a millionaire when you're 140. And like, just that, I never even thought that way. Like, I didn't even put math, numbers, thought process,
strategic. And
just that, like, I remember him telling me that, and I'd be like, oh, damn, like, I don't even think I even saw that, right? But just, and that's what kind of got me obsessed with being like, what do I not know, right? And being like, I need to understand probably anything I don't know, or at least try to, right? And I don't think I'm like, I'm not like Elon Musk genius, right? But like, I don't want to be in a position where somebody knows something and I don't. That's a massive disadvantage.
Yeah.
And even perspectives, right? Like, I think, if you put yourself in a position where like, okay, UXO is a $50 million company. How do you think? And it's like, damn, like it's not the same way you're thinking right now. I know, cause that's not how I thought when I was, just starting. It's just not like, you're just not putting yourself there.
Yeah. How many employees do you have now at GymReapers?
It's adding quick. I think we're around 50, 45 to 50.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So they always say no one's going to care about your company more than yourself. Yeah. And you guys seem to have really good ambassadors. You have great athletes that are bought in.
Yeah.
How do you push that mission, that mindset to not only, your ambassadors, your athletes, but also the people that work with you to not get complacent, to be like, this is where it's at. This is where we're going. This is our mission.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep fucking pushing.
Yeah. I think it's top down. I think, if I came in every day and said, or if I came in at 10 and then I left at 3 and it was just like, whatever, I don't think you can get to where you're trying to go in the range we go. I'm pretty intense when I'm there. And it's just, I think everyone can feel that. And I think it breeds intensity and progression and what people want. Like when people see like it's one thing to say that you're going to do something, but when you say it over and over and over, and then you do it over and over and over, then people are like, no, we can fucking do this shit. And I think when I first started bringing a couple of the guys on there, like, this guy is out of his mind. And then it was just like, okay, we just gotta hammer it over and over. And I think leading by that example, and then putting people in the positions where they can own a portion of what is contributing to that growth, like not trying to micromanage the whole thing, or get them halfway and then you take it, or like whatever it is. It's like putting them in their seats to where it's like, this is your thing to run. Whatever it does is on you. I think that's like empowering, that people can see their impact on the business at scale. Because it's insane. Like, we'll have guys, I have a couple of younger guys that just moved into positions where they're like enabling things on the website, and in real time, they're like literally changing the whole site structure. Obviously with like approvals from top down, but for them to see that that everyone's making a tangible impact on the brand, and it's also compounding. It's exciting. It's invigorating. My Kalina designs all the products with me, and for her to see a collection go from one tech pack to another, and the comments, the reviews are way better. Maybe you get a couple bad ones, but you improve on them. Yeah. And I think that's like motivating, because then the factory's getting excited because you're improving. So I think it's top down, and I think we have our core mission, what do you call them? Core values and the mission statements. And I try to reiterate that at key moments. It's not, I try to not put it up, hey, here's our core, core values. But it's like, I think those are better actioned than stated. You know what I mean? Like, if I show up, get 1% better every day. If it's, I'll own the mistake. I don't push that fucking bullshit mistake to that guy. All the little accountabilities, the things that make a difference, wiping down the sink because you get the water around the sink, that little shit, all the way to, closing a big retailer and building that relationship, or the product detail. Those are like, it all comes up top down. And I think you have to reinforce it. You have to prove it. You have to do it every day. And I'm still learning, dude. I don't know fully. You try to make it as good as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And now, how hard was it for you as your baby, GymReapers, to step away from some of that stuff, like customer service or whatever, because you did it all, to now put people in positions to be like, I have to fully trust this person to push this? It's
trust. Like what you said it. Like, you need to trust that person. Like the team that we've built, I trust everybody in there to do what they're doing. And, Brady, who runs our CS, he was my boss at bodybuilding 10 years ago. I came after, I bothered him. Incredible guy and manager and team lead. But I already knew, like, I was like, when we get to the scale, like, Brady's that guy.
He's the guy.
Yeah. Cause even when I reported into him and, how he managed his teams, everything, it's like, it left an impression on me. Jack, I've known Jack since I was 13, 14 years old. It's like, I don't need to worry about trusting him, or my sister. It's like, I don't need to worry about trusting her. Yeah. And the team's built over time, and some of our teams newer that came. And I think that the energy and the, I think that's like that. You would feel the energy in there where it's like, this isn't pressure in a sense of like a 9-to-5 type of pressure. It's a pressure of like, we're going somewhere and we all need to go quickly type of pressure. It's not like the Sunday scaries. I don't get those.
The Sunday scaries?
Have you ever heard that? Where it's like people panic on Sunday because they don't want to go to work on Monday.
Oh, okay.
Like that type of thing. Like people get that feeling. I think people, I can't speak for everybody, but like people are excited to see what the next thing is. And that feeds on itself, because people that are new are like, whoa, like, what is this? And kind of the sky's the limit, because it's kind of as big as we want to make it, which I think is exciting. So it's not like a capped role or position or company. Yeah.
So you brought up, put you on the spot. What's your core values? Company core values.
All 8 of them. Let me pull them up on my website.
Do you have them? Do you know them?
I know a good chunk of them. They're honestly like the principles that like, I mean, it's just like accountability, 1% better every day. Nothing is given, everything is earned. The mentality, the whole mentality that I built the brand with. Like I just embedded it because it's like, okay.
In everything you do.
If you, EOS, have you heard of EOS? Traction, the book? As you start to grow, you'll want to get into like, it's called Entrepreneurial Operating System. And what they do is they provide a framework for how to operate and manage the company. Yeah. And one of the first things you do is you create like a vision statement, like a 5-3-1 plan. And then you build core values and missions. I also knew you were going to ask me that after I said it.
You did?
Yeah. I was like, this guy's going to ask me all of them. One of you is going to ask me. But you build these core values. And I remember doing this when I hired like 2 guys, the first 2 guys, because I was like, I need to have some structure around like people. Because I'm responsible. Like you become responsible for their livelihoods, for like, and it's like, okay, if I don't take this shit serious, like, and we don't go, like we have to go, then I don't want to be put in a position where I don't want to be. And so I laid out those, and I don't think I've ever changed them. And it's literally just the same mentality that I built the brand with. I just like was like, okay, this is what it's going to be. Yeah. It could probably be refined down to 2 or 3. Yeah. But the mentality is just like, accountability, responsibility, earn it.
Yeah. Nick.
What
are our core values?
I'm earning it.
What are our core values?
UXO number 1.
Come on. You don't know this shit?
No. Not off the top of my head right now.
I'm so disappointed.
Sorry, John.
Snort your pre-workout.
Yeah. So I want to touch back on, you talked about mentorship, and I follow your personal page on Instagram, and you put a lot of posts about mentorship and finding mentors.
Yeah.
How do you do that? What do you look for? A lot of people say that you're the average of the 4 people that you hang around the most or whatever. And you touched on AJ a lot, and finding people. How did you find people? What advice would you give to people that are looking for people to look up to?
It's a good question. Yeah, and like AJ was probably my biggest one because I worked for him. But like I had so many, dude, and whether it's in e-commerce, real estate. I remember I flew to this guy's house in Oklahoma. I didn't even, how did I meet him? I met him at a meetup. It's called The Millionaire Fastlane. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
I read that book, joined the forum, and then I went to the meetup. And I remember I met this guy, and this guy was awesome. His name's Steven. And he's like, dude, you're doing real estate? I had 1 duplex. And he's like, come to so I flew to Oklahoma, stayed with him for a weekend. It's probably bizarre to his wife and family. But he showed me around all his properties, did all these things. And what I did is I tried to lead with value. It's like, hey, not give me. It's like, what can I do? And I would always like kind of watch what they're doing and be like, okay, maybe this sucks, or like I could do this better. And be like, hey, I'll do this for you. Like, just give me the access or whatever I got to do. Trying to lead with value and providing service, because you got to think everyone's got something they're trying to get to, and everyone's got problems and everyone's got pains. And it's like, how do you make somebody's life better and give value? And I think for mentors, especially if they're successful, there's probably, I would say, like, money, time, coffee, it doesn't matter to them. It's like they probably have a specific problem that they're trying to fix. And if you can get there, that works. So I learned from books, I learned from podcasts, I learned from key people that I would meet from meetups or, different genres, and I merged it all.
So it's interesting because on TikTok, so one of my old influencers, M, who was very, very good on the team, he's big on TikTok. And so he got me onto TikTok, and I was like mentoring him as he was launching his supplement company, and he was mentoring me at how to become more, how to create like a community on TikTok.
Yep.
And so I started that and created like this review channel where review other people's products and talk about, supplement ingredients and how they work. And I get hit up all the time by these younger kids who want to start a supplement company.
Yep.
They're always asking me, how do I get in? How do I get into the industry? How do I do this? Da, da, da. And my number one feedback to them, my number one bullet point is you need to find a mentor.
Yeah.
Right. And, but I don't say that out of experience because it helped me. I learned the hard way because I never got a mentor.
Yep.
And I learned by fire, by not knowing what I was doing and by losing a shit ton of money and looking back on it in retrospect and like, fuck, I wish I would have had somebody in my corner that knew what the fuck they were doing because it would have saved me a shitload of time, a shitload of money, and probably set me up for success earlier on.
Totally. And like mentors aren't going to, like, they're not going to, hey, come, they're not going to take you from point A and put you at point B.
No.
What they're providing, and it's really, they're not providing anything. They're just going to probably answer your questions if you ask good ones and be a sounding board. But you should be able to observe the path that they took. Like the path won't be the same to you, but you should be able to pull the principles out. And the feedback loop you're talking about, where it's like you have a problem, you try a solution, you don't know if you can fix it, and maybe you get over that problem and you don't have to have that problem again. A lot of people get stuck in their feedback loops. They repeat the same problem over and over, never realizing that there's something they're not learning in the process of whatever they're doing. And, if you can find a mentor who can start to cut feedback loops off you, right? Which is why people go to college, or why people, they'll intern or go work somewhere for a period of time before they go do the next thing. They're gaining insight and experience so that they know more. And, if you can find good mentors, and, even if you're just listening to podcasts, like the internet, YouTube, like I learned
so much knowledge,
an insane amount on YouTube.
I have my degrry.
Yeah. Oh, dude, bro, like
I
I have something running constantly, whether it's Audible, YouTube, podcast, Spotify.
Yeah.
And just cause like the access to information is insane now. Even more so than it was like 5-10 years ago.
How the fuck did we ever grow up? Like, look at these kids nowadays that like the world of we didn't have Google. We didn't have.
It's different.
Like, how the hell did we didn't have Chat GPT.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy.
It's about to get weird.
We survived
with AI.
Dude.
Like it's.
It compounds. And that's the thing with information. It's like, if you can get that information, and, consistently improve whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
Dude, it cuts years off your learning curve.
So you have athletes, you have ambassadors, you have some of your athletes have millions of followers.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest pain in the ass to work with? I want their name.
Honestly, dude, we got awesome athletes, man. We have no problems.
None. You never get off the phone and you're like, Jesus Christ, this motherfucker.
No, dude. I honestly, like, I was just texting Nick Walker. He's like, I made him a belt, and
yeah,
dude. Every time I talk to that guy, it's awesome. Like, he's fucking awesome, dude.
Who's it? What's? Forgive me. God, this sounds horrible.
Yeah,
the girl with the tattoo.
New girl.
Dude.
Yeah, she's dope. She's hilarious.
A fucking beast.
Yeah, she's a fucking beast.
She's an animal.
Yeah. Yeah, she's awesome too, and she's hilarious. If
is she?
Yeah, she's pretty.
That's
funny.
Always the best. Like when you have, and you're like, man, this person's personality just kicks ass just as much as they do.
Yeah, when we're trying to, like, with the marketing team, we're just trying to, like, build that community more, because for so long, we never really had athletes or influencers. Like, we just started to really put a focus on that this year, and now we want to start to do, like, there's so much, but, like, build more community around the brand and, like, do more stuff with them, expos, whatever it is. Oh, dude, I'll tell you, I don't know if I could say it after, but we have a sick collab coming, and going to I can't say it online.
We'll talk. We'll talk off.
I don't even know if I can say it. Yeah. But we're just trying to do more stuff and, like, engage more, provide more. Like, that's the other thing. Like we want people that want to be with us.
Right.
And so, we don't.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, we don't have problems, man, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know, I was talking about that. I was like, dude, GymReapers could go against Rogue and start these huge fucking festivals and just have huge strength festivals here in Boise and just
bring it here.
The graveyard.
Dominate.
Yeah.
Dude, it'd be awesome.
Dude.
Have a huge
GymReapers
strongman fest where people want to come with the the strongest
you make
people
it big
in the
enough,
world.
you got
dude.
the money to rock. Let's go.
It would be cool. It would be cool.
Let's talk about work-life balance, because even though you love what you fucking do, there's probably times where you're run down and you just need to decompress. What does Roc do to decompress? With everything that he does, like
it kind of just blends. I think. What do I do to decompress? I mean, I don't really turn off. I don't think you can. It's a lot of pressure, right? Like you don't want to drop the ball. I think the one thing I started to pick up is like meditation, which is like more guided. I hired a coach that it's not just a meditation coach, but he kind of takes a whole like mind body approach. Just because like when you're not managing your anxiety or your stress or whatever, all these things, it starts to really like actually physically impact you. Yeah. And so meditation can help, kind of what all you're trying to do is bring like awareness to what you're feeling. Right. Yeah. Which, you can kind of try to manage that with other ways, or you can try to actually fix the problem. Right. A lot of people may go to other options or whatever. But that's been big for me. I kind of, I work all the time, but it doesn't feel like work. So I don't have a ton of, I wouldn't say I'm balanced, right? Like I have a pretty terrible time texting people back. I don't hang out with most of my friends, I try to, but like, there's not really, me and my sister work together. So it's not like I have to worry about seeing her, or most of my friends that I work with. But it kind of integrates, man. Like, this weekend, I would say it was half work and half like, I guess, hang out and tidy up the house and do all that stuff. But there's not like a split. And I don't think you can. I can't.
See, I think that, so I'll get real with you because I heard this last week and it kind of stuck with me and it kind of stung. It got me in the side. But you're at an age where, if you're going to go hard and you want to start a business and you want to make something astronomical, you're at the right age to do it. And I would encourage young people to take that leap and try. I did it at an age where, looking back on it, hindsight, I don't know if I'd do it again.
How old are you?
45. And here's the thing is, so the statement was made because I'm like you. I don't turn off at night. And even me and Nick have talked about it. And Nick's like, dude, like where the fuck do you find time? Because at night I go down rabbit holes and I'm constantly brains thinking and researching shit and how can we take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And a statement was made the other day that was like, when you get to a point, basically nobody's going to remember all the hours you worked.
Yeah.
Except for your kid. Right? Like, you're not going to be rewarded. Your bosses aren't going to remember all the extra hours you put in.
Yeah.
It's your kid that remembers. And that stuck with me because it's like, fuck, I've got my daughter who's graduating this year. And I just think about all the hours I've spent focused on anything, on everything with the business. And that kind of hit me in the side. Like, fuck, like there's sacrifices.
Totally.
And that's what you're talking about. Like, you've built something, but it's come with sacrifice.
Oh, totally.
You've sacrificed time. I'm sure you've sacrificed relationships, and yeah, much the same.
But I think you do it for her.
Absolutely. I do it for a better future. That's the way I view it. But I don't know. It's like, how do the kids perceive it?
I think if you show hard work, like you don't, I don't
Maybe
remember.
They'll build that.
Well, yeah, I don't remember. You remember the character traits. You don't really remember. Like, I remember a good chunk of my childhood, but I work hard because it's how my parents work, right? They went through their own shit, you know, whatever. But my parents still, my mom still works, right? And it's like, I don't think when people say that, it's like, I think it's a way to approach, because if you're 85, and you have to live knowing you didn't try, or you have to die knowing you didn't try.
Yeah.
That's probably going to eat at you a whole lot more. And then your daughter now sees that you didn't try. You know, that ripple effect. I think trying is the that was always my perspective. It's like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to try. And the ripple effect and the wave you'll build, or the wave that I'm doing, where it's like a butterfly effect. It's like what people see, it ripples through. I just think about that all the time. And it's like, I think you teach your kids by what you do, not really by what you say when you're with them, right? Because they're just going to learn through observation. So I think it's admirable.
Yeah, my dad owned a restaurant. He'd worked there from 7 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night, and I never thought he sacrificed my childhood, or I never thought I just thought he was a bad motherfucker putting in the work because he was paying off our mortgage. Yeah. And I
just derailed this podcast and took it like down this.
No, it's good.
No, it's real.
But I think a lot of people think that. I think a lot of people will say, "Oh, I can't do that because of my kids," or "I can't do that." And when I hear that, I hear this a lot, right? Like, "Oh, you did that at that age." It's like, no, dude, I did it because there was no, what does my life look like if I don't do it? Yeah. What does my sister's life look like if I don't do it? You know? Yeah. So I think you should do it. And then if you fail, you did it. Still did it.
Give it your all.
Yeah. And then, and even if failure is just a part of it, you just keep going, right? Like, I technically failed for 3 years when I started.
You learn from that failure.
Bro, you just keep going until it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe, you know, you find a supplement that nukes it, and then all the other ones you've made, this is like
go in the trash.
No, they all rise, right? You're like, oh, none of these are really launching like all these other companies. But then you launch that one that nukes, and then all the others lift, and you're like, damn, we just went from X to X. Yeah, but sense. You can't know that looking at it from today. You can only look at it going back. And that's kind of where it's like, how did you grow so fast? It's like, dude, I didn't do one thing. I just compounded effort, right? And that's what it is.
Yeah, you imagine working a 9 to 5 right now,
no,
and at HP, and that's what I'm saying. Just not they don't give a fuck about you.
We're
You're
still
just a cog in the machine.
Ahead. We're still full steam ahead, but looking back on it in retrospect, I don't know. I may have made a different choice, thinking about my daughter differently. But the points you make, I mean, they're valid points, right? Yeah. Like, and I don't know if I had that mentality to not do it. Like, even in corporate America, that's what made me successful, was my drive. In the military, like we talked about just a little bit ago, like that's why I fast-tracked through the ranks and became a chief so early, because it was my fucking drive. Like, my drive's not going to shut off. Yeah. But I don't know. It's just different perspectives.
Yeah, and then spending the time, like trying to, you know, maybe carve out like weekends or like nights. Is she here? Does she live here?
Yeah.
Does she want to come in?
Dude, but that's the crazy thing is like kids grow up so fast now. Like
crazy.
You talking about fast, but my daughter graduates, so I'm taking her to Mexico.
Yeah.
Here in a week. Yeah, a week. Yep. Because she graduates and she's off to college. I'm like, what the fuck? It seems like just the other day.
Yeah.
You were just a little kid.
Yeah.
You're all grown up.
Damn.
It's wild.
It is crazy.
Time flies.
It does go, dude. It goes quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about Julian and Griff. And like those
guys are awesome.
Wild. Yeah. It was actually Griff that reached out to me like 2 weeks ago, congratulating me on UXO. And he was like, yeah, remember when you were in the fucking, because it went from bodybuilding to flex nutrition.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
He was like, I remember having your shit on my store shelves. Crazy. And he's like, congratulations. I love seeing the growth. And it's like, man, blast from the past. I haven't seen Griff in years.
Yeah. No, it's awesome to like, see that, because those are like those little things where it's like, okay, this is still working. All right, keep going. Because it's like, can you imagine? Like, I think about it sometimes. Like, what if I just quit?
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, and I don't think I can't. Like, I just
built.
I'm not. No, I won't be able to. Like, dude, I don't. Yeah, I don't know how to operate without it. And so it's like, but I think about that sometimes, and it's like, we're just starting, right? I feel like we're just starting. So it's like, what does it look like? You know? And then you think about all the ideas that die because somebody just quit. And it's like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing, dude, you don't get out alive. No. So it's like, do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, not to go back to the age, but I think anyone can do anything at any age, dude.
You can. It's never too late. And like I said, I didn't. Like, it's just different perspective.
Maybe you weren't ready.
In my situation when my daughter's like leaving to college, it's like, oh man.
Yeah, but maybe 10 years ago you wouldn't have been ready for this responsibility.
Right. Oh, dude, 100%.
Before the military, dude.
In the military, even thinking back, because I joined the military late, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if I had joined the military at a young age, like these younger kids that are 18 doing it right out of high school, I wouldn't have fast-tracked.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been mentally prepared for that. I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Your perspective changes.
Yeah.
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 Totally.
Since I was older, I was more mature. I had more life experience.
Yeah.
Like, that catapulted me up.
Yeah.
In the military ranks.
And you're here. You're here. You're doing it, baby.
I'm here. We're doing it.
Yeah.
You know my values yet? Company values?
Hold on, I'm looking them up real quick. What is the future? So obviously you're very goal oriented. It seems like I'm sure you have a 6-month plan, a year plan.
Yeah.
Like, what does GymReapers look like in a decade? 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want to be at?
Decade.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Damn.
I think I want to keep doing what we're doing with who we're doing it with. I think we can. I think we will be one of those like iconic like training brands. We just have to keep doing what we're doing. Like, we have to keep like nose to the grindstone, keep working on improving every aspect of what we do. And I think it just comes by doing the right things and not cutting corners. I think people want to cut a corner to try and get ahead quickly. And it's like, well, I've never done that. There's 7 years of me just in a warehouse by myself that shows I wasn't cutting a corner. And I think, I want to encompass training and all the aspects or facets of it. And I think, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could kind of riff off like, I probably think about like the physical side of it, like what it would look like, and like what the headquarters could look like, or like what the team could look like. But, probably if you asked me that question 10 years ago, when I first started, I'd probably say like this, like right now. So it's like, I don't even know what it could look like in 10 years. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I want to keep growing it. I want to do more real estate stuff and keep building that. And I have other brand ideas, but it's like I got to keep, which I was telling you about. And but you got to keep your focus on what you're doing.
Yeah, you can't cheat on.
No, and I think as when your company grows, like you go from doing all of it to doing maybe most of it, and then you're teaching a lot, and then you're kind of just probably more managing teams, and then you get to a point where kind of your teams are managing the teams.
Yeah.
And like we're in that. I'm still in it, but there's a lot that I don't do anymore, and I just hear about it. And so I don't know what the life looks like when it starts to get to a point where, like, if it's like 150 employees, what does, I want to know everybody. I don't want to be that guy who's like, that guy showed up, and it's like, I didn't know him. It's like, no, I have the final interview with everybody. But at 150 people, you're not running that shit. Like the teams and the people you trust and everything you've built is kind of running. And you just got to build it right from the start. Right. Which is why, like, talking to the warehouse, like doing it with the internal fulfillment, key part. I think that's like a really, that brings everyone together, because whether you're, fulfilling an order, managing the warehouse, running the marketing, everyone just ties together, keeps that close knit bond.
And the culture.
Culture's tight. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're in the warehouse or, sales or ops, CS, everyone's synced, which is sick. It wasn't always like that, but
yeah, because there's a ton of people just doing drop shipping nowadays.
Yeah, I think you're trying to remove infrastructure to get there faster, which is fine. Like, people can do that.
Yeah.
But you got to realize you will build yourself into a corner at some point. Like, maybe you can scale it that far, but at some point, the 3PL is not going to be able to manage that fulfillment for you. And maybe at some point your fulfillment's going to bottleneck your growth.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out how you're growing and what you want to do, and try and do it as best as you can. And that's, I want to manage and build all the infrastructure in-house.
Yeah, I feel like it would be frustrating not to have the product itself to know that, hey, this is a good product. Like, I'm shipping this out, I'm giving the guarantee,
right.
And then fighting a drop shipping, whatever warehouse they're at, not having hands off of everything, customer service, you have to go to them to be like, yo, where is this? You said it shipped yesterday, and they said that they got the product, but they haven't received it. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Customer experience is bad.
It came, and it's a piece of shit
packaging
product.
too. I've heard horror stories of some of the bigger supplement companies that have gone to that to expedite shipping time, and like the packaging that it arrives in is just subpar, or the shipping standards they use. I don't know if you've even seen Amazon. Someone like, look at how big Amazon is.
Yeah,
I've ordered shit that is no shit, like 2 inch by 2 inch, and it shows up in like an 8-inch box, 8 by 12 inch box with like little padding in there. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the infrastructure of like most, like everyone's, it's a business. Like what they're running is a business, and it's probably not correlated or like interested in the outcomes of your business. You know, probably to a certain extent, but you know, I think growth and like the progression of building a business properly is done the hard way by like, you know, it's not easy to go get a warehouse, get all the racking, figure out the WMS you're going to run, train the teams, get the scan system if you're going to run a scan. Like all those things are like massive investments in time and infrastructure and cost. But the outcome is, you get to take care of the customer, and you get a better quality, you get more control. So just depends on the outcome.
I kind of want to end on this because I feel like this is a big thing, but people seem to forget it, is customer service. And I know that you put up a lot, like even reviews, you'll put it up on your personal page of like, oh, thanks for this review or whatever it is. And it seems like, and I understand that it gets harder as more scaling you go, but like, it's so important to have fucking good customer service. And I feel like it's negated or lost or whatever. It's like not hard to reply to an email. And I understand when you get big and there's a fuck ton of emails coming in, but like just to have that email reply to be like, hey, we'll figure it out. Like, we got you.
Yep.
You know, can you talk a little bit about that, about your guys' customer service and how important it is to you guys? Because I know you keep reposting it, how important it is and how proud you are of GymReapers customer service.
Yeah, I think like when I worked at bodybuilding.com, I was working customer service. So I worked customer service for 2 years, and probably the biggest thing that stood out to me from being there is how well, like when it was good, right? It's a totally different business now, but when it was good, it was taking care of the customers so well. You know, there was this thing called empowerment where we had like a budget to basically, if somebody said, I want this, or I can't afford that, it's like, hey, handle it. You know, or the ability, like just the way that we took care of the customers there left a mark on me. And then, you know, everyone shops online now, and I would bet probably more than half, probably like the upper 80, 70, 90%, have a bad experience if they need to go through a return, exchange, refund, whatever it is. They can't get a phone answered. The email takes 3 days to respond. If it's Black Friday, you're not getting a response in weeks if you get one, or maybe, you know, out of stocks happen and miscommunication. And in a world where like attention is so important and so sought after, for a customer to like believe in your brand and then trust you with their money and then not have a good experience in whatever capacity they needed to have a good experience in, the only outcome for us is to make it right at whatever cost. You know, and, you know, people will abuse it. People will take advantage, whatever. But in my opinion, and the same with Brady, and this is why, like, bro, you'd be surprised that I had a meeting today with the whole CS team to go over, like, I want to hear, like, tell me what you're seeing, what your problems, what you want to have fixed. Tell me so I can like, action it. But beyond that, dude, like, that team is so good and manages everything so well that I get a report daily on like what's going on. But beyond that, they operate by themselves and they're taking care of the customers. All those reviews are unsolicited by anybody. People are wanting to leave them, which is amazing, right? It's exciting to me because I'm like, damn, this is exactly what I want to build, right? And I think they love to see it because they're like, we are like making an impact, you know. And you think, oh, you bought wrist straps and lifting straps. It's like, no, but this guy's going to go change his physique, improve his workout program, or, you know, we get emails about them losing weight or whatever fitness goals they're achieving. And it's, oh, this person helped me with my order and made my experience amazing. And I think going above and beyond and standing out in a world of sites that don't put their phone number on it, delay texts or delay emails to, or send them off to a VA. Like, our customer service team is in office, phones, chats, emails. If you call like during a work hour, you'll get a call, or you'll get a rep live and willing to help you. And I think that's kind of how we're gonna take it to the next level, where our competition might have a great brand and a great product, but is the experience as good as you can get with us? And that's what we can continue to like improve on. And so that's why I think it's so important. And I wish more companies, and I think it will start to become more of a thing, to where you're judged not only by what you sell and who you are, but by the service you provide. And I think we're building that infrastructure continuously, and I'm super proud of all of them. It's an awesome team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jon, any last words, my friend?
Okay. So if we took the top
Clear
5,
that glass. Yeah, what you got?
if we took the top 5 GymReapers athletes, right?
I love them
Threw
all.
them into an octagon with the top 5 Gymshark athletes. Who's winning?
I couldn't name you a Gymshark athlete.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your hesitation here is concerning to me.
I'm trying to understand theirs, because ours would annihilate them.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. But
did you hear that, Gymshark?
Jesus,
Better step up your athletes.
This is going to be a clip, and they're going to be all looking at it.
Goddamn right. All right. No, dude, honestly, I appreciate you taking the time to come over here.
Of course.
Like, dude, you got a huge company. I know your busy schedule, and we appreciate you having on.
No, thank you guys for inviting me. This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. And where can people find you or GymReapers online?
Yeah. I'm on Instagram at Roc Pilon, and then GymReapers at GymReapers.com, at GymReapers on everything. So appreciate you guys.
Cool. Appreciate you, Roc.
Thanks, man.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, brother.
See ya.